Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, grannies and gators, wherever it is that you're tuning in from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is a January, June 6th, 2024. Do you know what the clowns are up to today? We're gonna uh, cover a little bit more of the Global Clown Show. Tonight, we're gonna uh, take a bit of a more focused look in a couple of places, add on to a little bit more context, some updates on some things that we have covered. But first and foremost, guys, it is getting brutal out here with the censorship. As we covered the other day, Bill C-11 is on the implementation mode, and my platforms have been targeted on social media for zero streaming. I'm still, so far at this point, able to post static images and word posts on Facebook, but no more streaming on Facebook, and YouTube is spotty, hit and miss. So it's a good thing we don't have a lot of people in our community on YouTube, but Facebook, it hurts. We've got 5,600 of us gathered on Rumble so far, but we're still missing about 32,000 of our followers and our community members from Facebook. So I'm hoping that I know you guys can't share these streams on Facebook anymore. The feedback over the last couple of days from everybody informing me that yeah, no, you cannot share this stream. I cannot stream, and you cannot share anything that I do stream. So, uh, yeah, we're gonna talk about some clowns, and we're gonna talk about some used up broom riding hags, and some Russian dictators, and illegitimate governments, potential for World War III, and some Canadian affairs. I in this job that I do, this role that I take in the independent media, and this is kind of part and parcel of it. I was just mentioning what Facebook and YouTube and this basically Silicon Valley, for to put a broad brush on it, is crushing us. So they're making it very, very difficult. They're making the cost of doing this um, more than we're able to generate. And so, if there's something that I want people to consider, whether it's me or another independent journalist that's out there that is fighting through all of this, there's going to be an endless supply of activists and causes and purposes to support. But in the biggest battle of all, this information war, it's a much shorter list that you probably have of journalists that you trust. So when you're in the giving and supportive mode or mindset, remember an independent journalist and maybe buy them a cup of coffee or two. I know a lot of people work really hard in this space, and they are literally, we're staring down the barrel of a gulag. If we continue down this road of no, being unwilling to be silenced. So a few shout outs here. Kingsville, Ontario. Watched years and years eerily similar today. Yeah, guys, that watch party, we did a three-part series watch party of years and years that was filmed pre 2019, and it is creepy, make the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. I don't believe in coincidence, so it was very predictive of projecting some of their plans, ideas, technology, some of that, and the horror shows that we're basically living. We got Toronto in the house. Yes, guys, please, now more than ever. There's, if you're not following, subscribed on Rumble, make sure you get that done, and please give that thumb a big smack as well. We need this now more than ever. We're kind of in a bit of an odd time slot on Rumble, so maybe we can start to get a little bit more eyes on this from Cornwall. Hey, Cornwall. Hey, Patricia. Little Brown Jug from Kelowna. Wetaskiwin in the house. Hey, Nikki, Nine Doors. Awesome, awesome. Nova Scotia. Awesome stuff, guys. Somebody throw it out there in. Oh well, actually, you saved me the. Now I know where I'm going to start. Initially, I wasn't sure where I was going to start. We've got some international stories and a little bit of a longer story. I'm going to ask for your guys' opinion on how to handle a certain situation of uh, attempted coercion or extortion that I've been dealing with for a little while, and I want to get your guys' opinion on how you will respond to this conservative Save Canada initiative. But to get the party started, we're going to start first and foremost, guys. In a moment, Little Brown Jug, that's exactly what I want to talk about with a little bit of levity at how insane they are. But to finish off where I was at with the censorship and the crushing of the dissenting voices that are willing to step up and say the things that Canadians need us to say, we are building LGM.news, which is a standalone platform that lives outside of Trudeau's reach. So this is something that we've been preemptively working on. As soon as this show is over, we'll be going back into some of the fine tuning, and hopefully by this weekend, be able to launch a whole bunch of new things on here. But please get subscribed on this platform. It is free. Uh, Bookmark it if you don't want to get subscribed. This is 2 clicks to content with the people that you can trust that are still willing to take on the challenge of fighting against the establishment insanity. So, this tells me where we're going to start here now. So, we're going to start with this story. Thank you for the prompt, Little Brown Jug. Absolutely. Patricia, thank you for the super chat. Uh, this I got the first one just the other day of these super chats on Rumble, so very humbly grateful. I'm not sure how these all work even yet, but a much gratitude. Thank you for that. But I wanted to I wanted to start with mocking this global delusional insane asylum called the cabal or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they proposed a bill in Canada to make it a crime to support oil and gas marketing promotions. Um, it's they're squabbling about that in the loony bin in Ottawa. Meanwhile, Stefan Jobot has his own private foundation, made in the same cookie cutter fashion as the Trudeau Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, all of those things, where they literally use our money to lobby against oil and gas in foreign countries. So they're over in Europe every chance they get, telling them, don't buy Canadian oil and gas. You will be a criminal too. So we literally have our own government working against us. Energy is freedom. Guys, Canada has, I mean, we know that this insanity is unsustainable, but we're going to take a look at how delusional they are here with this. And I'm going to ask a question that you guys can all take and run with because it's a legitimate question. So we've literally got the climate terrorists, the eco terrorists, the green terrorists suggesting exactly which they're trying to install in Canada, making it a crime to promote oil and gas. And if I hadn't worn my I Love Canadian Oil and Gas shirt the other night, I would be wearing it now. But here's my question to these infantile egomaniacs: is are they going to reimburse the Edmonton Oilers for every jersey and throw every single Edmonton Oilers fan wearing a jersey in jail for promoting oil and gas industry? or Alberta. Like, I mean, the sheer lunacy of this, because literally this is exactly what they're trying to say and do. And because it looks like it's acceptable to have this discussion in Canada in our Looney Tune bin, that they're going to throw some weight behind this at the international level, and say that it's exactly like tobacco. And this the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called coal, oil, and gas corporations the godfathers of climate chaos. So now anything that even mentions it is going to be criminalized at an international level. How do you think that's going to work out for the rest of the world? But yeah, so to ask every politician out there, I just inquiring minds want to know: are you going to reimburse the Edmonton Oilers and every fan for every jersey that they've bought for the last since 1987 on that? So this is just how to have a little levity with the unsustainable insanity. Before we move on to everybody's favorite used up broom riding hag, we all know who she is, but you know, this is, I think, part of the fruits of what we've been doing over the last little while. Us and others have been really focusing on this foreign intervention and foreign meddling. For me, I think we're asking the wrong questions. The questions that they're all asking, those are going to come out. Who was tampered with? Who is dirty? Who is illegitimate? Who has been bought off? Who has been paid off? uh, to me, I look at the situation with with this, and it is absolutely treason on many, 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 many levels. This has jeopardized our futures, our security, our situation on the world stage at every level. We are a serious government in the eyes of the rest of the world. Mr. Sockboy has, and he doesn't get to own this all, because this has been a successive degeneration of the Canadian situation for a very long time, decades, and both parties in their past record is a long story of discussion. But for me, the point of this foreign interference finally being in the Overton window, the realm of acceptable discussion, um, I think we're looking at it the wrong way. People want to know the names of the politicians. I want to know the names of all of the companies, all of the corporations, all of the countries, all of the lobbyists, all of the nonprofits, all of the NGOs, all of the charities that are the ones competing to buy these politicians at every level: municipal, provincial, federal. That is the question that we need to be asking. And those are the companies, personnel, corporations that we need to be forcing the attention onto. So I think we're getting at a bit of a broader intersection of this discussion. So let's hear what the used up broom riding hag has to say when questioned about the story that's not going away.
C'est une très très bonne nouvelle pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes, pour le Canada. Notre plan fonctionne. Merci beaucoup.
Ms. Freeland, if you could answer on the foreign interference review, why is there no review? Ms. Freeland, sorry. Your government's lobbying here, you will be verifying comments.
And that's it. Saying I'm not answering any questions at this time, and exit stage left with wooden broom spurs in uncomfortable places. This is coming back to haunt them, because you, me, everybody out there has already identified that the few minor culprits that they're trying to point the finger at, they are literally um, trying to destroy, jail, persecute, and prosecute their political opposition. It's really at a smaller Mickey Mouse Monopoly board level. It's basically the same situation, the same process of demonizing, criminalizing, and not taking notice of those they're protecting they're protecting their own sponsors, their own assistants, the people that placed them in their positions to do favors to all of them. And so this, you know, we're here in Canada looking at all of these things individually as problems within Canada, but the rest of the world, what does the rest of the world see? They see things through very, very differently. They see weak, fake placed meat muppets in almost the entire Western hemisphere, the quote unquote democratic societies, all that have been infiltrated, penetrated the cabinets, and Canada is basically the show pony of implementation of the World Economic Forum Fourth Reich. And so here's the ripple effect of that is knowing that Canada has basically placed meat muppets. Joe Biden, many could and would argue, is a placed meat muppet. The rest of the world is making this sudden shift to BRICS and to be in the good graces of the growing to be biggest mafioso on the block. The biggest bully gets the most friends. And um, Putin is basically walking around right now. Um, in his mind, he's done what Russia, the Soviet Union, nothing could ever do before. He has literally got his chest puffed out because basically the central banks have placed Russia as the fourth largest economy in the world, in spite of all of the sanctions and the crushing and the whining and the sniveling by these meat muppets in our governments. Russia has continued to be successful. They have continued to grow their economy. And there's a point here that's incredibly significant to people. And I don't know if people are, maybe needs to look at this through a slightly different focus. But when you look at the top five biggest economies on the planet, China, US, India, Russia, and Japan. Okay. Which side of history are these nations on? These five largest? Well, we know China is on Russia's side with BRICS, US, obviously the opposite side. India is with Russia and China. So then there's Russia and Japan leading way back there, and then it tapers off from there. So when three of the top five world economies are looking at us like we have three heads and we are absolutely insane for allowing the coup of our countries, literally through foreign infiltration, through economic means and infrastructure and buying of politicians. This is exactly what they've achieved. And now all of the rest of the nations on the planet look at this and go, um, who is going to be the next person that we have to fear on the planet? Well, I'm pretty sure nobody fears Sparkle Socks Justin. Joe Poopy Pants Biden, I'm not thinking so. Um, so that's kind of takes out, the rest of the top five. Japan, probably not. They're financially the boat anchor of um, America. They're the ones that have been propping up American debt for way too long. And so, what does this look like then on the world stage? Well, there's an equal and opposite reaction to that. And right now, we have the U.S. banking system is on the hook for basically $517 billion worth of unrealized losses, which is basically countries cutting their debt and dumping American dollars and saying, yeah, no, we're going to do business with BRICS. We don't care. We're going to lose our shirt today on the US dollar, but we're going to we're gonna stay friendly with China and Russia and India. And I mean, who can blame them? Who's the adult in the room when you look at the leadership of all of those top five nations? Which room do you want to be in? Just ask yourself that. When these guys are going, you know, uh, uh, planning what's basically happening in our time. What are they looking at doing? It's crazy how we don't put into perspective how the world sees us nearly often enough. So I'm gonna scroll back here and catch a couple of comments. Give folks, everybody, a little bit of time to make sure, double check that you are subscribed, and if you want, give it a share. Let's see here. Yeah, Trudeau and Jagmeet introducing legislation. Yeah, that one they've been chirping about for a little bit. Let's see here. Let's see, calling fossil fuels. It's you're correct. You are correct. It's not fossil fuel. That's just it's actually a misnomer. It is the earth and these fuels and decomposition and all of that. It is the biggest recycling system on the planet. So, yeah, absolutely that. True that. UN infiltrators, absolutely, absolutely. Um, we're not getting into the as entertaining as it is watching them eat themselves, the left eating the left. That's the we're gonna do something a little bit more substantive on that. But okay, back to some of what all of this means between the BRICS and the laughing at America and Canada. um, it's insane. So there's some things that people may have brushed over, I think, that are incredibly important and relevant to the situation. And this is where it takes a little bit more of an ominous tone in tonight's show, folks. That's why I kind of wanted to start out with a little bit of levity. Hold on to your livers for the next few minutes, but bear with me on this, okay? Why has Putin removed his ally in Sergei Shoigu as Russia's defense minister? So this guy was the defense minister for 20 some odd years, for staunch supporter of Russia. He is their America's right now general milieu, or whoever's next in the chain of command for the military operations of America. Shoigu was this guy. They referred to him as General Armageddon. He is the one that has been controlling this special military operation in the Ukraine. And yes, he was he resigned from this position for a different position. He got a promotion. Basically, in America, it would be like General Milley getting a promotion to Janet Yellen's job, where she is the national security advisor and controls all of the military, all of the spending, the budget. And he was replaced in the military command by an economist. So what's happened is General Armageddon was promoted to Supreme Commander of all security, and now he's got a budgetary guy to fulfill what his strategies and leadership is going to be representing on Russia's part with the nations that are friendly to Russia. Now, there's been some significant developments over the last little while in the conflict there and the escalation, and I'm going to kind of narrow down a wee little bit of some of what they're actually talking about, because not everything is quite as it seems. So, our media here, this is where I wanted to start with, was General Shoigu. Our media basically saying that he was incompetent and he's been demoted. That is the polar opposite of the case. That's the gaslighting. That is the lying of the legacy media. So that's the point in this little segment that everybody needs to get, because they are pretending like what is really happening over there is not really happening over there. I'm not going to get into the frontline battlefield at this point right now, but safest to say is that Russia is capturing miles and miles of territory every single day. It is basically a modern day rout. The casualties are catastrophic. The Ukrainian military has basically been decimated on the frontline fields. So this is basically Russia has been cherry picking and advancing their fronts at their whimsy for basically going on a month now. And so we're going to get a little bit deeper into this situation and some of the context behind the current escalation. And this is what we're going to be focusing on here, guys, is a little bit about the escalation. And I'll tell you what, this war needs to stop. There is nothing that is legitimate or makes sense about this war. And young men are paying the price for crooked old people, for political posturing and self profit. And one of the biggest in the bunch is this circus clown, um, Vladimir Zelensky. There's two major summits going on or in play at the moment. One is a big one in St. Petersburg, which is an economic summit, which has more than 25,000 dignitaries and representatives from all over the world meeting at St. Petersburg to discuss economics, opportunities, and relationships internationally, abroad, worldwide. 25,000 of them in St. Petersburg for the St. Petersburg summit. Zelensky is trying to counter this summit with a peace summit, he's calling it, in Switzerland. It is dying on the vine. Picture, Antifa trying to uh, 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 hold a peace summit at the international level. It is an absolute fiasco. So what has Zelensky been doing is running around, interrupting and begging for people to attend his peace summit. China declined, and because he was basically slandering China, doesn't matter what we think as individuals. I'm just telling you what's happening. Joe Biden declined because it's a fiasco, and so is Joe, and he does not want to be caught in that trap of this peace summit, because this peace summit is not a peace summit in Switzerland. What they have done, this is such a sham. They have drafted a capitulation list where they have 10 points for Vladimir Putin to surrender to so they can have peace and they can save face and declare Ukraine a victory. And even Joe Biden's handlers know that this is a disaster waiting to happen. So while this is going on, this PR war between Russia and Ukraine and the Western handlers of this conflict, Zelensky is running around the planet. He's been to almost every place that would have him, but the interesting stop was in Singapore, where he literally, uninvited, crashed a oh jeepers, it won't let me show this one, and I am sorry, I am not paying for the Globe and Mail. I can't afford it, don't need it, wouldn't even if I could. But the gist of what he did in Singapore was he crashed a military planning summit. Of all of the countries that now are dealing with Putin's official designation of America as no longer unfriendly, but as an actual enemy and a danger and a threat to Russia. So this is the significance of what's going on in the last few days. Putin has made this designation that he's escalated the classification of America and now looking at America as a hostile enemy. Why? Not because Biden is doing such an amazing set of presentations in Normandy, where Zelensky is as well. No, that's not it. what's been going on is this debate about bigger weapons that reach farther into Ukraine. And here's the problem. Sorry, before I get into the weapons situation, this is the biggest problem that our governments here won't admit. If we asked any of our politicians, would you negotiate peace with an illegitimate government and an unelected tyrant, a terrorist, basically at this point, who has jailed all opposition and made it illegal to discuss peace or to have elections until he so deems you can? Um, would you negotiate with that individual? Probably in our Canadian government federal history, we probably would not. Neither would America, and neither would any other reasonable, rational world leader. How do you negotiate with a terrorist? Would you negotiate with ISIS on peace talks in over an entire nation? I don't think so. So this is what their Putin has stated. He cannot negotiate with an illegitimate uh, uh, fake leader. What do you call that? A successful coup, a tyrant, a dictator, any of those things. But here's the scary part, guys. Not only is Putin saying how do you can't negotiate with somebody like that. That is why nobody else is taking part in his fabulous peace summit because they do not take him as a legitimate leader. You can't negotiate something with somebody that doesn't have the actual authority to negotiate it in the first place. So he is not a representative of Ukraine. He is only a representative of himself. And you guys are going to love this because there's all kinds of evidence that he's only in it for himself. There's the Pandora Papers bring up a whole lot of that. And the interesting part about this, guys, is all of this is going to be in the Substack uh, tonight or tomorrow, whenever I can get it out at the soonest possibility. Can dig into that. Um, yeah, so Zelensky has come up with this fake plan strategy. The world is not buying into it. So what does he do? He goes and crashes a military summit in Singapore, basically gets giggled at, but tolerated, and then uh, the president of the Philippines flies off to Manila, and Zelensky chases him, badgering again. Picture the chiclet kids in Mexico. That's literally what Zelensky has been doing. Well, here I have the headline on this one, so I'll be able to add this one into the links and resources section in the Substack that'll be out later. Hey, awesome. I'm getting some comments here. I'll touch a couple of these. Hey, Wayne, watching from Mexico. Awesome. We're international tonight. Uh, thank you for catching these updates. I kind of wanted to get into more of a routine about with doing these and keep them shorter per story and cover more bases with eliminating the noise out of it here. Hey Gemini, the viewers have absolutely dropped on Rumble. We desperately need some help to get some eyes on this channel, and uh, this channel isn't a place where I'm going to deliver you warm fuzzy blankets and cups of hot cocoa, but we're going to eliminate the noise and the gaslighting and the lies and give people more accurate things um, and more accurate ways to deal with this insanity, because it's critically important for us to understand and actually believe that insanity is unsustainable, and the sooner we stop tolerating it, the more accurate we come. um, the better the faster it happens. um, the watch parties were excellent. Everybody should catch those. We're not going to have one this coming Saturday, but I've got a good one planned for the Saturday after. So I think I have a graphic here. So I'm going to get to why Putin is pissed. See if I can pull this up for. No, I'm just going to run with this, guys, for the time being. So, Ukraine, Russia, um, we know where the a lot of the fighting is going on near Kharkiv right now. From here to basically here is basically being contested right now. That is where Russia is basically having their way with what's left of the Ukrainian forces. Now, over these conflict zones, these battle fronts, over the last little while, extensive little while, I'm not going to give exact dates, but I will give you guys in the Substack a link to some guys that you guys can follow if you want the most accurate and gruesome real-time coverage of the battlefields. You guys will be able to get that in the Substack. But here's where the problems arise and the escalation is coming from. They're talking about, oh, these weapons, these new super weapons, just like the Nazis, the savior weapons, the vengeance weapons. Remember the V1s, the V2s? Well, Ukraine, they've got these wonder weapons. They need these wonder weapons so they can strike deeper into Russia. And this has been a sore spot. They wanted to debate. These these missiles. Well, here's the reality of it. Ukraine has had these missiles for a while, and they've used some of these missiles, typically along the open, basic conflict zones, the bridge, and others. But in the basically the regional agreed upon, where within the rules of warfare, targets, bona fide, legitimate military targets, those kinds of things. Um, so Russia's been sitting there looking at this media debate of whether they should give Ukraine more Russians or not, or more of these missiles to strike Russia or not. And Russians are going, you idiots. We know you've already got them there. We know you've already been using them there. But the reason they need permission for this is because Zelensky went a little bit rogue and he decided to use some of those missiles for different areas. And some of those areas happened to be over in this southeastern portion of Russia, along the border between Georgia and Azerbaijan, in regions that Russia's early warning systems and protection and enforcement of treaties and they basically keeping the peace and the governance in some of the most uh, volatile regions of the world, over Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, all of these places not very settled. So here we have Zelensky sending missiles into areas that have really absolutely nothing to do with Ukraine, but that are interfering with Putin's ability to look after his southeastern borders on some key critical areas. So Russians don't bluff. Does anybody know a Russian? They don't bluff. You don't want to play poker with a Russian. It'll be the most boring game of cards you will ever have in your life. And now they are stepping out of the boundaries of what is within the basic rules of engagement in this special military operation. Putin has been incredibly restrained through all of this. He has not declared actual war, but these series of events in the last couple of days are leading to some dangerous rhetoric and some dangerous responses. And just yesterday, Putin's response to some of this happening, where they want Biden has agreed to send more of these missiles that can do more of those bad things in places that have no need of being involved in this conflict, except for protecting Joe Biden's interests and exterminating more Ukrainians by the day and destroying more of the most fertile farmlands on the planet. That's Bidenomics for you. But Putin has said that Russia's going to provide long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets. He's got ships heading to the Caribbean to do training events. Training events with friendly nations in the Southern Hemisphere. This is not the Cuban Missile Crisis where everybody is friendly in the Caribbean to the United States. That is no longer the case in the situation in the Caribbean and the Southern Hemisphere. Guys, these clowns that we have here are, they're not even slow walking us into World War nuclear. Well, I do want to say this. We need to get this idea out of our head. World War III, if you want to call World War III, put some bookends on it. We are in World War III right now. There is a distinct difference between World War III and a nuclear war, a nuclear conflict, because I'll tell you what, there is no such thing as a nuclear war. There will be mutually assured destruction through nuclear strikes, and it is going to be over and done in a day, and that is the end of humanity and history as we know it. And again, knowing Russians don't bluff, when questioned on this, um, Putin has basically stated America is leaving me no choice, that if we have to protect ourselves and it goes down to be the end of the world, we will know that Russians will go out as martyrs on the right side of history. This is their stance. How can we question their stance when every step of the way this has been documented, and they have not? Putin has done exactly everything that he said he was going to do. He said everything he was going to say, needs to say, and the rest of the world is turning to they don't want this. Russia doesn't want this. China doesn't want this. Russia's just getting into the best economy they've ever known, the best quality of life Russians have ever had in a society that resembles more 1980 America, our society over here, than it does does what we think of as the Soviet Union. So we the only thing that really adds up to this and is a couple of minutes of a clip here that I'm going to play for you guys next before we get into the last story of the day. But here's a couple of guys that I listened to a fair bit when it comes to this. These guys have one of the largest subscriber bases for geopolitical stuff out there. I believe Alexander on the right was a former international diplomat, and Alex, he's just from the UK, and Alex on the left is from Greece. But this is how they're describing it. And remember, history doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. Listen to what these guys say to explain what I think is kind of going on here as well. And keeping in mind, we in the United States, you have going to have the most volatile year in your history since your Civil War, simply because of the panic that's going on. Everybody knows the chaos and the unstable situation of the society in America, and the Democrats got a plan. This is what they think might be the off ramp.
No doubt about it. He's speaking to the Ukrainians. Final question: do you think the long range missiles, one of the purposes of trying to escalate, and eventually they may get there, of giving Ukraine permission to launch missiles into pre-2014 Russia, is to try and manufacture some sort of a win, some sort of leverage over Russia, so that they could get to the negotiating table without losing face? we managed to knock out one of your military bases in one of these regions. This is a huge victory for us. Are you ready now to negotiate Putin and Russia? I mean, do you think that might be the real underlying purpose of all the panic to escalate to the long range missiles into Russian territory thing?
Can I just say this? For the moment, the Americans are abiding by the Russian red line on this. I mean, Putin has said this is a red line, and they pulled back. I've no doubt, by the way, that there was a plan, which had probably been hatched in the autumn, to supply Ukraine ATACMS missiles and to launch missile strikes inside pre-2014 Russia with those missiles. But Putin has said that is a red line, and I think they've pulled back. I think as night follows day, they will cross that red line. I mean, I think this is a certainty. I mean, they've crossed every red line up to this point. There's no reason to think that they will continue indefinitely to abide by this one. So that's what I am going to say. That is exactly the plan. They want, if they can't win the war as it is being fought now, as if they can't win the war at all, probably their calculation is, let's launch long-range missiles into Russia, and that way we will do one of two things. Either the Russians don't respond, and that will create pressure for them, and it will put their cities and their bases under pressure. This is, by the way, what they were saying back in the autumn. And that will force the Russians to negotiate because the weight of these missiles is going to be overwhelming. I think we've seen, by the way, over the last few weeks, since the ATACMS were introduced, that is not true. Just say. The other thing is, let's try and provoke the Russians into some massive crisis whereby they respond to our red lines in an extreme, overly provocative way. We create a huge international crisis that then scares the whole world. People like Lula, Xi Jinping, Modi start phoning up Putin and say, my God, this has got to stop. Humanity is at risk. A negotiation then takes place and a compromise is reached, which is essentially the compromise that the Americans want. That in effect, that they're trying to create a kind of Cuban Missile Crisis situation in order to engineer an outcome that is a little like that, which was achieved as a result of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which, remember, the Americans in the 60s spun as a win.
And that's the only way out at this point for the Biden administration to not appear weak. And that's, I think, kind of what is going on. But I think that's a most dangerous game, knowing the truth about that basically NATO has thrown not just everything America has, but everything the entire NATO forces have into that conflict. And it's like Bruce Lee playing ping pong, eating a hot dog, right? That's ultimately what it's looking like on the battlefield. And to just a little bit of an update, because I want to put this into the Substack for those that have been following this story. Scott Ritter was on the show a couple months back where we were talking about a lot of this exact shit right now. And what was going to ultimately happen and end up, the decline of the Ukraine and whatnot. But so Scott was headed over to that summit in St. Petersburg, and he was on the plane, ready to head to, I believe, Istanbul, and the Joe Biden dignitaries pulled him off the plane, seized his passport, and forced him off of the plane. And he was scheduled to speak at this summit in Russia, and the American government did not want him speaking there because they are trying to intervene in the success of that summit. So here again, America's foreign policy leaves some questions to be answered. So I'm pretty sure Scott's going to have a really good lawyer on that. And what they did was absolutely illegal. Not that legal or seems to matter to these tyrants, but that is the update on our friend Scott Ritter. Like him or not, he's one of the most accurate guys out there. So, last update on the board here for tonight is we talked about the balloon wars and between North and South Korea, and you know, I knew this was an escalation again, and here we are seeing the results of some of that escalation. That's why, although I brought it up, as kind of more clown world stuff the other night, a follow up on that is peace deals off the table. So here we have another case of lifelong sworn enemies that have been at peace for a number of years, but without solid world leadership. Things are kind of going a little bit sideways again. So um, it's unfortunate to see this going on, but so we're down to the last 10 minutes or so. So now we're going to get into something going on right here in Canada. So on April 26th, I was sent an email, and I'm going to read this email to you guys. And I was told I could make this public at the same time as I was threatened to be publicly shamed if I did not take part in their agenda. And I wish I was joking about this, but this leads to some serious things that I'm seeing happening out here in this World War III, this information war, where we're seeing groups and organizations on the so-called quote unquote side of freedom and liberty and democracy and all of those things being the first to eliminate it. This my way or else mindset is that they seem to be adopting the methodology of the left. And guys, we cannot become evil to fight evil. We cannot profess to protect freedom of speech and human and rights if that is our first go to silence a differing opinion. Do I want us to see more cooperation in like-minded endeavors? Absolutely. But this is why I don't like the word unity, because unity breeds the concept of my way or else. And this is where then we get egos and organizations that gets to this level of it's my way or you are the enemy. So extorting journalists, threatening to go public on a journalist. Let's get your guys' opinion on this, and I hope you guys can see this. I don't know if I can make this a little bit bigger. Can I? Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at me being all techie and stuff. All right. So April 26th, I was sent this email, and I'm going to read this for you guys. I've never done this before, so bear with me. We'll get through this as quickly as we can. From Mr. Ian Bell at virusfraud.org. I have absolutely zero idea who this gentleman is. No clue. Couldn't really find much when I went to take a quick look, but I got this email. It says, "We have contacted you because you are listed on the Freedom Rising website as an ally in the freedom community here in Canada." Fair enough. I know who the Freedom Rising community is, and I gave them permission to add me onto their website as an independent news representing the people of Canada. So that's where he found me. Good to know. We have prepared a proposal for how to win this war of technology and transhumanism that is being waged against us. This proposal drastically changes our strategy in the freedom movement, unites us under a freedom army, and has nothing to do with violence. Oh, kind of interesting so far. This is where starts to make me go, huh? Mine must look more. You are being asked and expected to build, join, and unite under our Freedom Army here in Canada. Sorry, you kind of had lost me at expected to. But I'm interested. I want to know what you're expecting me to do. So, and some of the details, a proposal to win this war is on this site. And I've got this pulled up, but I want to get through the email first and a downloadable copy. So I'll make sure that you guys can all get a hold of this as well. Um, but first I want to know, that's why I'm doing this publicly, is I want to know your guys' thoughts on how you will respond to this, and I'll tell you how I'm going to respond. So, Freedom Rising is not involved in any way with this proposal, but we will be contacting Freedom Rising to unite under our Freedom Army, just as we are now contacting you. As explained in the proposal, the only way we can win this war is by uniting our large-scale numbers under our Freedom Army. Our Freedom Army is about bringing desperately needed leadership, organization, and structure to our freedom movement. We must build our Freedom Army and the organizational infrastructure to support it. When did I sign up for a new Canadian Army under this dude? Not sure yet, but I digress. Our Freedom Army will be directed by a national council made up of Canadians in the freedom community that have demonstrated their capabilities. The initial list of candidates that has just been asked to sit on the national council, so I'm the people I'm supposed to agree to listen to, are Donald Best, Jason Levine, Jeremy McKenzie, Ken Drysdale, and Tom Razzo. I don't have beef with any of these individuals, but I also don't have any commitments to abide by their orders. If they are even aware of the situation, which I strongly doubt, but okay, interesting. Cast of personnel. This does not mean these people have or will agree to sit on the council. Huh. Indeed, Donald Best has declined. We will post responses from the others on our website. This is not a complete and final list of candidates. Others are to be identified and contacted. As explained in the proposal, there are two immediate expectations. I don't do well with expectations. Not when they're decreed by somebody that I don't know and have never heard of. Sorry, you best not expect too much from me. At least not anywhere as yet. But two immediate expectations when you join and unite under our Freedom Army. First, you agree to make your website and our social media channels part of our collective broadcasting network. I'm hitching my wagon to theirs. They have collective broadcasting network. Okay. Second, you understand our Freedom Army is led by the National Council and agree to prioritize and follow orders and instructions issued by the National Council. This does not mean you stop what you are currently doing, but it does mean that you recognize that collectively we start organizing and working together as one. This unity proposal was written by Ian Bella, the owner of Virus Fraud website. We are a small group of people working to implement this proposal. Currently, all information about the proposal is on the Virus Fraud website. This is a temporary measure. Once the National Council has been formed, then it will assume all responsibility for driving this Unity project forward. At that point, all information about this Unity proposal will be transferred to the National Council and its own website. We expect that there will be resistance from our freedom leaders to any and all proposals to unite us. They're not trying to unite us, they're trying to control us. Nevertheless, we expect all our freedom groups to help build, join, and unite under our Freedom Army. This is what our unity looks like. This is how we unite ourselves. We unite by doing it, not by flapping our gums and continuing to talk about it. No more talking. Your response to this letter will show us what your true intentions are. We will list on our website all groups that unite under our Freedom Army. They are our allies. We will also list every group that refuses to unite. They are not our allies. Which are you, friend or foe? There's more to read. I don't know if he actually realized what a journalist is and what he is trying to extort me with. This is an open public letter. You are free to share it. Your response to this letter will also be open, public, and it will be posted on our website. We look forward to receiving your response. If you do not respond, then you will be contacted a second and a third time. If you do not respond after the third time, it will be understood you refuse to unite under our Freedom Army. Ian Bell, Montreal, Quebec. Blah 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 blah. So that's the first one. I get this about the 1st of May. And if y'all know me at all, this didn't exactly get the best immediate emotional response from me. But I didn't want to be irrational. So I thought about this for a little while. And I went and I checked out their website. And I'm going to give you guys a quick tour of that right shortly. Actually, no, I'm going to do that before I get to the second email, because I got the second part. So this is the website, virus fraud. I'm going to give you just my quick interpretation, cold notes on what I think of this and what I've discovered here. He's got a bit of a history of blogging since July of 2021. Okay, great. I took a quick glance over. It seemed to be some fairly decent blogging in this, but then you get to the website here, and the home page is really very, as he said, temporary measures. But when you get down here, my computer's a little bit slow. I'm pulling these pages around, but um, to come back to this, there's literally here's the proposal for winning the war, and they have a friends and foes section, and they have been documenting this, so you guys will be able to read their strategy and their plan. And then I wanted to pull up the friends and foes section. Oh, I've got that right here. Here's the friends and foes section, where there is 8 pages of people that they have reached out to, and it's pretty much all still just pending. But what they have received back is rejections, as I would expect. Personally, I'm calling this, with all of you to bear witness, my very public response. And he doesn't get to decide who the hell I am. I don't give a shit who he thinks he is. But you can see here that kind of the ones that have bothered to respond are, kind of probably see it for what it is. But there is all kind of the 8 pages of people that have been had their information pirated without request, without permission, as far as I know. Not by any indication. There was no permission given by Freedom Rising to use this list, but regardless, here it is. Most of us are pretty public people, but Gather Your Wits has said no as well. Liberty Club rejected. Police for Freedom rejected. Save Canada, Stand United, Take Action. Everybody's basically rejecting this charade. So this was kind of where I was sitting at this. So in between getting that first email and going through the site, I thought, well, okay, now I'm going to wait to see what the second email looks like, and that'll kind of be the end of it here tonight. So it's hello. This is the second time we are contacting you with regards to our uniting our freedom groups in Canada. Our unity proposal to win this war can be read again. Another link. There is only one way we can win this war. We must eliminate the cabal and its global network. There is only one way we can do that. We must unite with our large scale number, blah, 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 blah. That basically is repeat, pretty much copy and paste from the first one. how many times have our freedom leaders said no one is coming to save us? The only one who will save us is ourselves. I agree with them on that, but nobody's going to tell me how to save myself. That I don't. I mean, just poof, here you are, magic man. How many times? Yeah, we're not coming to save. Saving ourselves requires we unite. No, it requires that we cooperate towards like-minded initiatives, specific events, specific actions. Cooperation on those is not necessarily unification. Unification is the problem with exactly this kind of garbage and nonsense. It is you put my banner on, my hat, my color, my flags, say what I want you to say, or else. This is exactly the liberal evil garbage that we are trying to fight, and we will never win by duplicating evil, the same evil. So, um, yes, we need to cooperate, not unite. How many times have they said be the change? Absolutely. Being that change requires we no, it doesn't. It requires we cooperate. We have freedom leaders. No, we don't. People call them freedom leaders who want to take the moral high road. I want to take the truth road. And few that are taking the low road, but none that are taking the only road that can win this war for us. Unity is our holy grail. Unity remains as elusive as the holy grail. We're not here to sell you on the idea of unity. You're here, unity. We are here to demand you make the choice for all to see, accept or refuse to unite. This is the second time we are contacting with the expectation you will heed this call. Sorry, the only person I ever heeded in my life was my mama and papa. You can go GFY. So this is an open and public letter. You are free to share it. Your response to this letter will also be open and public. Yeah. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the garbage and nonsense that is expected and demanded and attempted to be extorted from the people like myself that are out here trying to get you guys the information you need, not to prove allegiance to somebody that demands something. And see, this is where it gets me. It's turned into the wild, wild west, and we have forgotten already why people lost faith in the legacy media, why we cannot trust our government because the legacy media failed us. We lost faith in the legacy media because they were supported by the government. They are not media, they are not news, they are assassins of the truth and of character and our nation. So calling them media and having those expectations do not fit. But the problem is we lost trust in them because they did not deliver the truth unbiased. You have to be able to call out both sides. I have to be able to call out people like this. This isn't leadership towards unity, folks. This is putting yourself on a radical list. This is what you're supporting something like this is and does. And with the time, I don't know if this is a mole or a more or an agent provocateur. I don't know. But at this point, there are enough people that have made their bones, proven themselves that we do not need to allow, or we have to have the discernment. And that's where it's up to us to have the discernment to understand who's real, who is not. That nobody else can make those choices for everybody. So if we're not able as independent journalists to call out things from either side of this space that we're in, then we've got no business being on camera and calling ourselves journalists or news or media. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this. I really, really hope that you guys get subscribed on the Substack so you guys can get all of these documents. And the sad part of this is this guy may have had some great ideas. He might have had some great suggestions. He might have had a valuable voice at the table of the public square in the appropriate time, but extorting anybody, particularly attempting to threaten, to shame, and extort a journalist, for not becoming compliant and subservient to that which you deem, dude, did you not know that I was a journalist? Like, some of those things still really, truly exist. Thank you, Little Brown Jug, for the $10 super chat over on Rumble. I don't know how to pull those up here on here, but yeah, this is yeah, cult much. That's what this feels like is predatory people with a cult. I understand frustration and anger. We need anger and we need to be frustrated, but it needs to be directed and it needs to be cognizant and it needs to be focused and it needs to be smart. These guys are dangerous. They will try all kinds of infiltration and to usurp organizations and groups, and mostly to delegitimize you. That's the biggest thing. The instant we give them the single opportunity to call you batshit cray cray, you're done. You have no credibility left. You will be not taken seriously in any of the public squares. So this is why it's so critical for us to be aware of what we're investing our time and emotions in. There are people out there that all they're looking for is to trigger you emotionally and keep feeding you that emotional crack of righteous outrage. Careful with that. Careful with that. Understand the difference between activism and education and entertainment and news, and build your scale accordingly, folks. All right, that's it for tonight. A little overtime again. I have more to say than I thought. Anyhow, you guys are kind of used to that. But tomorrow night, same time, same place, 6 o'clock Central. Back with what is it, episode 12, I think, of Bankers, Bandits, Bullion, and Bucks with Bryce. And I'll tell you what, it was hard to not pull the trigger on some of the stories tonight that we will be covering tomorrow. So thank you all. I love you all. Stay mighty, stay strong. We're winning, guys. Believe it or not, we're winning. But it's like I played from playing from Neil Oliver the other day. Be happy. We're winning, but it's going to get ugly. Right, guys? I love you all. Stay Canadian, stay mighty, stay free, and live life like you love it, because we should. It's a real privilege, and we got to just figure out how to end some of the insanity. We didn't get into more of the meddling and corruption tonight, and I kind of wanted to hold off on that. Guys, I got a Blockbuster on Monday. You guys are going to want to tune in on Monday. I'm going to blow something under the water. I've been kind of waiting to see if somebody else caught on to it, but there is a way, way bigger foreign influence scandal that I guess you guys are going to hear here first on Monday. Love y'all. And we'll see you tomorrow with Bryce. All right. Oh, I almost forgot my partners and friends. Yeah, I really hope we get a chance to talk about these guys in a more real context real soon. All right. But I love y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.